How do you effectively raise your rates without losing your clients? Coming up. Hello and welcome back to the Freelanceverse. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming back to the channel. Sorry that the video is late. I got injured a bit on the weekend, and yesterday I could literally not stand up. So today is better and I can manage to film this video. I want to talk about rates, specifically about raising your rates, because I have made a couple of videos about setting your rates. For example, this one here has been very well received because people are struggling with that. It's hard to know what you should charge because people kind of tell you, there are certain websites that tell you an average, and then you think to yourself, okay, so I guess I charge the average. That has a lot to do with your specialization, with your location, with your what you need to live your life comfortably, right? So it's not just an average rate that applies to you. It's really depending on your situation. And then when you are a freelancer, when you're not employed, you don't benefit from yearly salary raises to adjust for inflation, for example, right? You have to do that yourself. And that can be sometimes a tricky situation because usually clients are not that happy when you do that, right? But it should be completely normal to do that regularly. I find myself also guilty of not doing it regularly enough. Like theoretically, you should do it every year, like an employee gets indexed every year as well to inflation, right? I don't do it every year. I do it every 2.5 years, I would say. It's probably not the best example, but that has worked for me, because it feels like every year feels a lot, I feel like. But if you want to go every year, do that. I just want to talk a bit about my experience. You have to feel out a bit who you are talking to, because there are certain clients in my network that I have a very good, well, there are two situations where I don't raise my rates. One client I worked with from the very beginning, I should probably raise my rates, but I also know that it's not possible for their budget. I really want to work with them continuously. They give me a lot of work. So there I just leave it as it is. For now, at least for the last, let's say 4 or 5 years, it has been like that. But I just enjoy the benefit of having consistent, very cool, high quality work. And it's still a good rate, it's not that it's a bad rate, but there I consciously don't do it because I know it's not possible. For another client, I have a very good rate already set and I don't feel like this needs to be adjusted for now. So there I haven't done it since we worked together either. But for the others, I try to do it like every 2 years. I try to send them an email. I'm going to show you exactly the email that I actually sent to my client. I wouldn't copy it exactly, but it gives you an idea of what you can actually tell them to, at least enter a negotiation at some point. Often freelancers that should raise their rates, and they know they should raise their rates, are faced with things in their mind like, oh, if I raise my rates, I'm going to lose the client, right? They will never pay me more. It isn't the right time. I maybe do it next year. Maybe I don't have enough experience yet. Maybe when I'm more experienced, I will raise my rates, etc. All fair points, but let me tell you that it's really, really much harder to raise your rates later on than to already start with a higher rate in the beginning, right? That's easier said than done. But as a rule of thumb, you can say that if your first-time client just accepts your rate point blank, they're either very, very nice, and that happens, that you have a nice high justified rate and they just accept it, perfectly fine. But usually when there is no pushback and the rate is just accepted, it seems to be a bit low, right? What you want is at least create a reaction at the client so they come back and you can negotiate somehow a middle way. And then you also know a bit the ceiling of this specific client. Whenever it happens to me that the client just accepts my offer immediately, I'm a bit like, ooh, okay, I could have asked for more probably, right? So that's a good indication. It's also a good way if you already have existing clients and you want to introduce a new rate. The best way to test it is with a new client. So if you onboard a new client, test the new rate, see how it goes, how the feeling is, and if it just goes through perfectly fine, or if you have to negotiate a little bit, you can then apply it to your other clients as well. When it's time to raise your rates, as I told you, it's very subjective. I would say every 2 years is a nice time frame. Another indication is when you have a lot of work and you have to turn down a lot of work. If you have to say no all the time, then you are in the position where it's easy to raise your rates because you will keep the clients that you need. You will earn more and work less, right? So if you're in that position, definitely raise your rates. If you notice that you charge much less than your colleagues around you, maybe you charge rates from 5 years ago and your colleagues have now started and the rates are higher or lower, depending, it's not always higher. But, it's not about the rate, in general, the rate trajectory in the industry is trending down, but that should not affect you, because for you they are trending up because you are gaining experience, you're gaining knowledge about the specific client, which you can use in negotiations, right? That's much more valuable for them to have an experienced client freelancer that worked for them for many years, rather than hiring a new one for cheaper, but they have to train him or her, and the quality might not be as good. If you notice that you onboard new clients and they just agree immediately with your rate, that might also be a slight indication that you should probably charge or quote higher. And if no one ever accepts your rate, you should question whether you're quoting too much or whether your experience is just not on the level that you're quoting for yet. Before you raise your rates, really ask yourself, what's your goal, right? You can maybe create a simulation, ask, I don't know if you charge per word, per project, per hour, whatever. Just make a calculation that gives you a nice unit price that you would need, an ideal one. An ideal, I don't mean like millions. An ideal, I mean like a comfortable, good living and something on top, because in the end, we need to save money, right? We want to build a sustainable business here that we can also, down the line, invest again and generate more money, maybe invest in real estate, etc. So it's not done with just living comfortably, I feel like, because that's not why we studied for 3-4 years, right? Because then, you know what I mean. If you went through the same thing, if you went through all the university years, you don't then want to then just make minimum wage and live paycheck to paycheck, but you want to actually build something. Think to yourself in your mind, what is the number that allows you to do that, and then break it down to your unit price. Me personally, I work mostly with hourly rates and retainers. Retainers is when a client books me for a whole day, a whole week, a whole month, whatever, and I have a fixed rate for that. Whatever the job is that I have to do, it doesn't matter because the whole day or week is booked. So I have a retainer price and I have an hourly price. I still have a word price, but I try to not apply it too much. Just with my existing clients, I have it. But my offers now are really more like the complete package, so it doesn't make sense to charge by word anymore. So I try to do everything by the hour, which allows me much more freedom as well to explore different services. You can always check on the market prices, and Probst.com has a price calculator and stuff, but there I just would exercise a bit of caution. They tend to be quite low, these estimates. Depends on the level of your career, but you don't really want to go with the average because you should be better, you should be more specialized, you should be the expert. So it gives you an indication, but don't take it like word for word. Try to think for yourself. It's better to get information in local associations, translators associations in your country. They can give you much more insight for specialized experts in the field. Once you raise your rates, I would always raise it, let's say 5 to 10%, not suddenly a jump of like 50%. That's not going to end well. You can do 5 to 10% every 2 years. At least you get indexed almost for inflation, right? If you don't do that, then your money that comes in loses value every month because of inflation. And in certain years, it loses anyways when the inflation skyrockets. But usually you should have adjustment for inflation and you should have most of your money invested. So it also generates passive income. Especially, in the last 10 years, if you look at indexed ETFs, for example, it's very, very lucrative to have your money in there instead of a bank account where it doesn't really generate anything at the moment. Whereas invested in an index fund, it would generate a lot of passive income. Of course, don't listen to me for financial advice. That's just what I'm doing. And it's a nice way to generate money while you're not working, because very well that as a freelancer you're limited by your energy, by your time, by your physical capabilities. So it's important to have other revenue incomes as well. Revenue streams. That's what I want to say. Just raise it by 5 to 10%. And when you raise it, when you send the letter, I will not say immediately from now on the prices are higher. I usually say from the 1st of July, just whenever you're in the month, I say from the 1st of the next month on, my rates will be like that. And I don't ask the client if it's okay to raise my rates. If they have a problem with it, they will come back anyways. So I don't ask them, just tell them this is what happens and we can gladly discuss about it, but it's not a decision, right? If a service provider charges you something, it's not your choice whether you have to pay for it or not, right? That's just a price that we charge. So act like a business, act like a service provider, tell them and see what happens. And most of the time, at least with my regular clients, with a bit of reluctance, a bit of grumbling, it gets accepted, right? Because they don't want to invest in finding a new expert that they've worked with for years. Once it's accepted, definitely get it in writing. You have the email already, and if they confirm it, you can just, that's already in writing. I usually print that, sign the date, put it in my important folder, and that's it. Just to have something in writing in case, someone forgets about the new rate, etc. Now let me pull up my letter that I sent recently to one of the clients. I'm just going to read it off, show it on the screen. You can use whatever you want. Feel free to copy it if you want. I don't care. Do your own thing. Dear anonymized, of course, first off, I wanted to thank you for our ongoing collaboration. I really enjoyed working with you, particularly on blank, as it aligned perfectly with my expertise and interests. Our collaboration has been going steady for 2.5 years now, and I managed to gain proper insight into your workflows, understand your branding, and build client-specific resources on my side that help with consistency and accuracy. In order to continue to make this collaboration sustainable for both sides, I will raise my hourly and my retainer rates in the coming weeks. Starting 1st of July, let's say, my rates will be updated to my new hourly rate per hour. The current one was this, and my new retainer rate per retained week. Currently, the retained week costs this much. This increase reflects rising living costs and my continuous learning and specializing in order to offer premium quality. Please let me know if this change is feasible for you. I'm happy to hop on a call and talk about it. Kind regards. You see, this is a client that I have a very informal, casual relationship with. That's why this email it starts off very businessy and, kind of official, because I want it to feel official because it is an important email. But then later on, I still chill a bit with the business lingo and just say, if you want to talk, we can hop on a call, because I know these people very well and they definitely will. They did want to hop on a call. In the end, the rate was, we didn't agree on the rate that I proposed, but as I told you, just propose higher so you can find a middle way. I'm happy with what we agreed on now. It's actually also linked to a couple of projects down the line that they want to test me on, etc. So it sparked a conversation. It sparked a new potential new service that we will look into. So it was a good thing to reach out, definitely. I still should do it more regularly with my clients, I know, so don't think just because I make this video, I have it all figured out, not at all. It's something that kind of slips to the back of your mind because in everyday life, you're just trying to, make money, get through it. You're not thinking often about proactively doing something, especially when you don't have a lot of time, which I don't have at all at the moment. So all of these things are a bit on the back burner, to be honest. But I still wanted to make this video because this came up recently, because the middle of the year came up. 2.5 years it's been since I worked with this client, so I reached out. That's why I thought making this video could be useful for you guys as well. Just to keep it in mind that it doesn't mean once you agreed on a price with someone, you have to work for 10, 20 years for the same price. That's not realistic. And you can always explain to them that every salary is indexed, right? And that's just how life goes. They will understand, because if they still had the same salary as 20 years ago, they would also not like it, right? Hope this was useful. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and I see you next Monday with the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.